Thank you for that, Laura. I just when we were discussing, I was noticing for me how similar it was becoming to me between family structure and family culture and organizational structure and culture, and how there's similarities with how they're formed, roles, and just difference. So it was just an observation, but one that I found quite interesting. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we can run a workshop on co-creativity in families as well. Would be interesting. I really think that. And I'm in the process of creating a parent school program for people who plan to become parents or are new parents, and I think that's interesting as well. Thank you, Ashley, for this yet another bridge.
I think it's very accurate. I mean, if you think about it, the first groups that we belong to are our families, and of course, then we learn how to do the same in later life, in adult life. You're talking about parenting, Nicole, and there are many similarities also to management and parenting. So
yeah, and it's really interesting. I do have I meet a couple later today where they will be parents in late autumn this year, and they are really struggling with taking on this role of becoming father and becoming mother, and how can we stay partners and da-di-da, all those questions. And I'm just thinking, what a great idea, Ashley. I think for today, bring them the 4 tenets and talk them through them. And how can you in your relationship apply that? Thank you.
So answers and questions, I think, was the focus, the invitation to focus on.
We talked a bit about how do you practically bring yourself into a group. If you're brought into the group from outside, how much do you not invest, but how much do you divulge to the group? How much do you come into the group yourself?
And what answers did you get, and or what ideas did you get for you?
Is what, sorry?
What ideas emerged from you when you ask yourself that?
We're back to the whole belonging, I think, and there's something about how do you enter another group and start this co-creative process with yourself in the center almost, and at the same time start out with your self-care before you bring it into the room. I find that to be quite interesting, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel a bit intimidated by the thought of it, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah. It's a great question to go with, Laura, and find your place of comfortable, where you feel comfortable in and I'm just noticing I'm going with an assumption in my answer to you, and the assumption that I'm having, or that I created, is that the intimidated bit that you were speaking about, feeling intimidated, is about showing your own vulnerability to employees, for example. Is that an assumption?
I was actually thinking more in terms of being a therapist and coming from outside into a counselor, coming into a situation where you don't know people in the room.
Yeah.
But it's equally as intimidating thinking about doing it to people that I employ.
And I think that's also a process of trying. So leaving your comfort zone just as much as it's comfortable for you, still comfortable for you, being in that learning zone and making experiences with that.
I think my assumption is probably that being co-creative, you have to kind of throw yourself in and be like almost like 50% of the whole process yourself, just kind of go in and absorb all of it. And it's quite different, I think, when it's organization.
I think it's equally non-applicable to a degree, the throwing yourself bit. Because and I think it goes back to when we initially met today, which was this idea of winners and how it can be, Nicole, you were doing it like this, and it can be too much. Any principle rushed into can be too much. Any invitation can be too much, no matter if it's a psychotherapeutic environment or an organizational one. And I think that's the timing and care that we need to be mindful of. So we're not, I'll talk about myself, but Nicole, I think you might be on the same page. This is an invitation to practice what we're aspiring to practice each and every day. We're not, I'm highly reluctant to preaching mode of any theory. I'm actually very much against it, not only reluctant.
Yeah.
And,
my experience, Laura, is, oh, sorry, try.
No, go ahead, Nicole, go ahead.
My experience is that the more I own myself being a co-creative TA person, I become less and less visible in groups that I come into as a counselor. So there's a lot at the beginning for the contracting bit to have the buy-in of people into this realm of shared responsibility, positive regard, da-di-da-di-da. You need to explain a bit around them, have examples. But then it's up to them. So it's I'm much less in the focus in projects than I was before, where I was looked at as the one to lead the way and have the torch and say, okay, let's turn left because that seems the right direction. So I'm more the one to say, okay, yeah, we're lost. And I don't know, I have no idea where we're going. Let's see what happens. And then others have much more space. And I find it a much more relaxing way of working because I don't carry the burden of the process.
Oh, that's interesting you're saying that. It makes so much more sense than when you're saying that. I can understand how the co-creative process can work. Okay.
Yeah. And I am when it comes to how much do I self-disclose about myself, I do that. I do say I'm feeling rather uncomfortable now because of this and that. And I don't know what my role is at the moment. Are we still clear about roles here, or what's happening in the process? So I'm doing that in with customers, for customer groups, as I do it in our sickness group when we do processing time. Yeah. And it's a good model, I think, for people to learn from.
Yeah, we use ourselves through, we use our own being, I think, Nicole, through this work. We cannot really detach from it, from that perspective of stepping away. And
I think that's a very nice closing word. Almost. So we would have some time for, and I mean, we are sort of checking out, aren't we?
Yes, timing wise. And Laura, you've turned your camera off. I didn't know.
It sounded like her phone rang. It might
Okay,
be the GP
good.
calling.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks for noticing that, because I only saw the camera going off. Okay.
There she is.
Yeah, we are checking out. So what is it you want to bring in the checkout? A word?
Oh, that's a nice idea, Traian. Why not checking out with one word? So if you would have to describe the past 2.5 hours with one word, what would that word be?
Yeah.
Then I'll have to check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how quickly they want to run.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I haven't got that's
So
what I was waiting for. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send over to you about the payment if I receive the response.
Curious.
Curious. Nice. Thank you, Laura.
That was my word, Laura. I just took it right out of my mouth. That was good. I need to think of another one now. Feel empowered. I'm going to say empowered.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah. Let me see what the last thing was.
Safety.
Safety. Nice. We lost someone. What's yours,
we
Traian?
lost some. Yeah. Energized through relationship, something around that. Energized through the group or by the group. And yours?
Yeah, I had something similar, and that was enlivening. And
I like that.
and something like the word spark is with me. So, and I really felt, and I know that's more than one word. Am I entitled to give more than one word? I really want to say that. I'm so thankful for this opportunity to share and to hear your resonances and be in contact. Although now the 2.5 hours feel like just a tiny little time frame, whereas at the beginning I thought, oh my God, 2.5 hours, that's a lot of time. But now I think, oh yeah, it's so lovely. I really got in contact again with my enthusiasm for TA and co-creative TA in particular. And I thank you for your curiosities, and thank you, Traian, for setting off into this oasis of our working together. We the past years have been a bit like a desert for the two of us. We haven't been doing so much together. So I'd loved to do this with you.
Good to reconnect. Yeah, and I thank you for your interest and the way you came into the room today and followed up our invitations. Thanks for that, because it makes life so much richer.
And we hope to see you again in some other CCTA workshops here or even in Gothenburg. So look out for the advertisements for Gothenburg. It will be a lovely 2.5 day conference, or
Live.
2 days. Live.
Not online. Live, offline meeting. Good. Take care.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, and we're off.